Welcome to the Fast Casual QSR Web and Pizza Marketplace podcast.
Good day to everyone listening. I'm here today with Marlon Koch, founder of Menu, and Savneet Singh, CEO of PAR. Marlon, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and about Menu?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for having us. So Menu is an omni-channel e-commerce platform for restaurant brands. So really what we've been building for the past 8 years is a single platform that makes it easy for restaurant brands to manage all of the different digital customer interfaces that they have today. Really, the problem that we've seen in the industry is that in the last couple of years, restaurants have had to adopt so many different channels to interact with customers. And customers now have an expectation nowadays to be able to engage and interact through so many different channels with restaurant brands. And so really what has happened through that is that it's become really, really difficult for restaurant brands to actually manage this. So many different systems that they have to go to make changes, so many different systems that they need to keep up to date. And this is where Menu is coming in to actually consolidate all of that, giving restaurants a single place to manage this, a single place where they can make a change. And it really pushes that out to all the different digital customer interfaces that they have, allowing them to have a single and consistent brand experience. So today we work with some of the largest restaurant brands internationally, from brands like, for example, Burger King to Papa John's. And now through the acquisition of PAR, very excitingly also getting into the US market and starting to talk to customers there. To myself, I actually founded Menu about 8 years ago. And so initially, I actually built the first version of the platform by myself, but then really been working over the last 8 years to build out our product and technology team, where we count over 100 people today.
That's great. Savneet, what about you? Tell us a little bit more about yourself and about PAR.
Sure. I'll tell the PAR story because it's far more interesting. PAR was founded 56 years ago, originally as a IT services company to DoD, but then PAR is really well known in the restaurant industry as the organization in 1978 that invented the standalone point of sale terminal. The business went public in 1982, with much of that success due to McDonald's basically mandating that every store in the world switch to the PAR POS system at the time. And then I would say for the next 20 or 30 years, PAR unfortunately kind of got stuck as a hardware and services company and not a software business. But to rectify that many years later, at the end of 2014, PAR acquired Brink, which is a cloud-first POS product for the enterprise. And that product started to rejigger the enterprise from being PAR being a hardware and services company to a software business. And really that sort of took hold in 2018 when new management came in and started thinking about this idea of PAR not being a POS company, but in many ways being a platform, so a little bit what Marlon talked about, which was unifying all the disparate sources of ordering and data across the restaurant such that you could give that restaurateur control of their operations again. Because I think one of the unfortunate results of the boom in technology of the restaurant is that the restaurant today really isn't winning. And part of the reason they're not winning, even though they've adopted lots of software, is that all these different products weren't ever really meant to work well with each other. They were all built in a vacuum or a silo to support, an independent operator and an independent sort of need, And I think PAR is looking to kind of help put that together and give control of that restaurant back to the operator.
Great. Well, let's get into the meat of our podcast today. Tech stacks seem so much more complex in today's modern restaurants than they were 5 years ago. Why do you think that is? Savneet, if you want to get us started.
So I think that, the fundamental reason why they're more complicated, and maybe complicated is not the right word, they're just more robust, is that the demands of the end customer have changed. Those of us that, frequent restaurants, we now expect our restaurants to still be the same, look, feel, and experience I have when I go into the restaurant, but I also expect my restaurant to be Amazon.com. I want my restaurant to have delivery. I want the restaurant to have curbside pickup. I want to track the delivery order. I want to be able to order on my phone, online, get loyalty points, all without having 1 ounce of change in the physical store. And that's a lot for a restaurant. And so restaurants, I think, have rushed to technology to solve and become digital. But at its core, the box that they operate out of hasn't really changed in 50 years. And so I think we're at this phase where a lot of technology has been adopted, but gosh, it's become a lot more complicated and harder to work because those systems aren't connected. And so, as I said, I think our goal is to kind of help connect those systems so that they can take back control.
To add to what Savneet is saying, it's really, there's the expectations of consumers are so much higher, and also the number of channels that they want to interact with restaurant brands is so much higher, right? So before, it used to be easy for restaurants where they used to have a single channel where they were actually transacting with the customer, which was the POS, right, when the customer came into the store. And so now you have a mobile application, you have a web application, you have kiosks, you have all of these third-party aggregators that you have to connect to. And so this is where just restaurants have so much more tech within their stack today. And unfortunately, so far, it's been difficult for them to manage, just like they've had now have to do the same action in many, many different places. And the systems really don't talk as well with each other as they should. And so that's actually where Menu came from originally, is that actually we used to, like, the first product that we built was actually just a mobile application for ordering in restaurants. And so what happened is, as we started to sit down with restaurant brands and actually started talking to them about the real challenges that they were having, we noticed, like, this is not a mobile problem at all. Like, the problem is not that they don't have a mobile app, but the problem is they have all these different channels and it's difficult for them to manage. And this is really where we came in to build this one single platform that makes it easier for them to manage their customers, manage their content across all the channels. But I think really what we've seen as well is just there's so much more opportunity out there in the restaurant tech industry today. And so there's so many more restaurant tech companies nowadays trying to build all sorts of solutions for the restaurant industry. And so through that, of course, restaurants want to be reaping all of the benefits of that opportunity and want to be implementing as many solutions as possible. And now this is really where they're facing some of the challenges that now we're working with them to try to integrate things better together, have better data sharing between the platforms, so they are really able to deliver a consistent and deliver the best possible customer experience.
Excellent. You both mentioned unified commerce and integrated tech stacks, and we've been hearing more of that in the restaurant space. What should operators know about unified commerce, and how is PAR delivering it?
Yeah, sure. So really what we understand as unified commerce is really bringing together all of the different solutions, all of the different modules that a restaurant needs to be able to operate their business, and connecting those well with each other to allow the restaurant brand to deliver a great guest experience. And so really what PAR has been really, really great at, and I'm saying that a bit biased, but I'm even saying that prior to us getting acquired by PAR, is that PAR has really in the last year has gone out and either built or also acquired really best of breed solutions across all of the different verticals in which restaurant need technology solutions today. And so now with Menu also coming into the picture, really our goal is to connect all of these platforms together and really actually enable unique use cases that have not been possible before without these platforms being well connected. What that means is that things that we're, for example, starting to do now is where restaurants actually, one of their big challenges is managing order flow. So restaurants today, they have all these different channels that orders are coming in from, but there's no system to actually regulate those orders based on how much capacity they have available within the store, how many employees they have working. And especially through digital channels coming in, there's no filter on orders anymore. If you think about it, like 10 years ago, where restaurants were only taking orders to the POS, they kind of had this natural throttling system actually within their restaurant, right? Which was the restaurant queue. There was only so many orders that they could possibly be taking at any given time. But nowadays, I can have the mobile app installed. Savneet can have the mobile app of the restaurant installed. You can have it installed. And so we can all be placing orders at exactly the same time. But the restaurant is not actually able to manage that load all at the same time. And that's leading to employees getting frustrated. It's leading to bad food quality. It's leading to issues with order accuracy. And so something that we're really uniquely positioned to now solve for restaurants is that through having this unified commerce platform, we suddenly know all of the transactions that are happening within a restaurant. And so we're able to use this data to actually throttle channels, make sure that we're giving the right customer expectations, and also make sure that we're helping the restaurant actually and the crew members manage the orders as they're coming through. So really overall, the goal is really to provide so many of these additional value add use cases and allow restaurants to get more value and more opportunity out of the solutions that they already have implemented and the data that they're already collecting.
Savneet, what do you think about unified commerce? How is PAR delivering that on your end?
I think the key part of unified commerce is to connect all the order entry points within the restaurant so that you have a unified view of what's going on in your restaurant. And so the way we're delivering that at PAR is by unifying the data between the point of sale system, the online ordering system, the mobile and loyalty system with the rest of the restaurant. And so today, I think we can argue that we've got the best of breed digital ordering solution in Menu, loyalty and CRM and Punch, and POS and Brink. And importantly, we're building them together as one such that we can deliver that unified experience back to our customers. So I think we deliver it by having best of breed products that we're then working very hard to connect and build really unique features on top of. So, one of the beauties of having a unified view of your restaurant is that you can then actually, as a technology company, build products on top of that you couldn't get before in these disparate products. So, as an example, if you now know you have one view of your orders, and that includes everything from your mobile and online orders to your in-store orders, you should be able to then take those orders and dynamically match it to your kitchen capacity and slot and throttle orders and do some really cool stuff like that, where today you're kind of catching up because you've got a different system with online orders, a different one for in-store orders. And so our way of doing that is what Marlon talked about, which is unified commerce and kind of putting all those core systems together.
What are the main factors that signal the high quality of the restaurant tech stack, and what are the biggest gaps in current restaurant technology stacks that brands are managing right now?
I'll do the latter first, which is, I think, the biggest hole is the lack of unification. I think a lot of organizations have done an incredible job getting up the technology curve very quickly. Particularly with the pandemic, restaurants were forced to become technology companies so quickly. And I think they did an admirable and I think remarkable job figuring out how to do that really fast. Now I think the challenge is, well, how do you get all this stuff to work well together? If you make a change to your menus, how do you make sure those reflect in all your menus? If you make a change in promotions, if you make a change in your customer experience in your CMS system, how do you make sure that flows everywhere? And so I think today it's actually about unifying those systems as opposed to adding more and more systems. And so I think that's by far the biggest hole. There are things that I think every restaurant wish they did better. Some wish they had, more modern POS. Some people wish they had better, configurable online ordering systems. But in the end, I think it's the biggest challenge is unifying them so you can get that value. Because, in the end, you can digitize everything you want, but if they're all, 10 different systems, you can put all that data, plug it into, Snowflake or Braze. You're just hoping that something comes out of that's a value as opposed to sort of having control of that. So I think that's by far the biggest hole, and that's why we're looking to plug it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Savneet was saying. And I think really that the question that restaurant brands should be asking themselves is, are the platforms speaking well with each other, and are they sharing data well? Because really what restaurant brands are trying to accomplish is this what we're calling a 360 customer view, or calling a single customer view, which is that today, a single consumer, you'll be using the mobile application one day, you'll be in the office the next day and want to use the web application to place an order at the same restaurant brand. And the next day you'll be in the store and you want to use the kiosk to order, right? Just simply because that's the most convenient for you. And so restaurant brands really need the ability to actually identify that same consumer across all of the different channels. So they're able to deliver a personalized experience, be that showing the same payment methods, no matter which channel I'm using to order, showing me the same loyalty program, the loyalty points that I have, the rewards that I have on my account, and also being able to deliver me personalized recommendations. And so really, that's what a high quality restaurant tech stack is able to do by really connecting all of these different data sources together and delivering value on top of that. And this is really where Menu and PAR are coming together to create this data sharing, to create this single customer profile across all of the channels. I think something that brands need to be looking at as well is that we're talking about before about how restaurant tech stacks have gotten so much more complex in the last 5 years. I think the question we should be asking ourselves is, what is it going to look like 5 years from now, right? Because really, actually, we're only getting started, and there's so many more channels that we're going to see added. Consumers are going to expect to order through their Apple Watch for food. They're going to expect to be able to order through smart glasses to get their food. They're going to want to order through Snapchat. And so really something that restaurant brands need to be looking at right now is making sure that they have an open and extensible platform. So as these new channels are coming up, they shouldn't be scrambling, trying to find a new system that they now have to implement to enable this yet another new channel. But it should really be as simple as turning on a switch where they can immediately show their menu, show their offering on that new channel, or they can have an open API where any other third party can actually come and can build on top of their existing platform to enable that for them.
What is the perception that restaurant owners have toward technology adoption today and moving forward? Savneet, if you want to start.
So I think the thing holding restaurants back from adoption is generally one of a couple buckets. I think one bucket is the question of, hey, can my infrastructure handle this? All technology can be additive, but in the short run, it can be disruptive. When you go live, you're teaching your team members and crew members how to operate differently. You're potentially giving your guests new workflow to how you connect with your brand. And so I think there's just a little bit of like, gosh, this is a big thing. Maybe I push this off. But I think in reality, we don't see a lot of that. We see most brands understanding how important technology is. They see how those restaurant organizations that have invested in technology have outperformed. If you were to look at the large restaurant organizations that have done the best over the last 3, 4, 5, 10 years, you're talking Starbucks and Chipotle and others. And the one sort of correlate they all have is that they've invested a lot in technology. And so I think there's less of that, but that's probably the one reason there is a fear of, hey, I'm going to change everything. How do I get used to that? And so I think that's the one impediment we do have.
Yeah, I would add to that, saying that something that we've seen, especially at the start of the pandemic, is that things had to go very quickly, right? Restaurants immediately had to adopt some kind of for example, digital ordering solution, because that was really what they had to do for their business to be able to survive. And so definitely that kind of that helped to change the mindset towards this is definitely the future, right? And restaurants need to adopt technology. They need to continue adopting technology. But what we're seeing happen now is that restaurant brands are also there reconsidering some of the technology decisions that they've made. And they're really thinking about, is the decision that I took 1.5, 2 years ago, is that still the right decision for me for the next years? Or is that something that I need to be thinking about right now? And so they're really thinking about is this future proof in 5 years time with all the new channels that are going to come? Am I still going to be able to support my business on the same system? And so that's really where we're working closely with our customers to show them that, and to show them how Menu is really going to be able to support them moving forward, and really what they need to be looking for in a tech stack and a tech solution in general to make sure that they're set up for success.
Menu's acquisition by PAR Technology, how is it going to affect PAR's business and solution portfolio as well as current customers?
Well, I think I think it's in many ways in benefit to our customers, but in other ways it was in response to our customers asking us to do this. We spent I don't know if it was 1.5 years or 2 years looking across the world to find a solution for our customers. And again, I think a lot of this was that they were suffering from the problems we talked about. They were suffering from, I've got a different solution here, and a different one there, and I got a different menu here, and a different, store identifier there, and a different customer here. How do I get this stuff to connect? And that push from our customers really was what let us stumble upon Menu. And so I think overnight our customers now have an option to have a digital ordering solution that's beautiful, configurable, and connects into PAR. And then I think, next year they'll see that as those systems connect, the POS, the loyalty, and all ordering become one system, the value that they can ascribe from that and pull from that is enormous. And I think that's really what's gotten their customers excited today, is that it's not just about that we can give an amazing solution that's configurable, that's in their control, that's in many ways cheaper total cost of ownership. It's what we can deliver to them tomorrow once all those systems connect. And as Marlon mentioned, no restaurant CIO should be thinking about, gosh, I'm solving today's problem. They need to be thinking about solving tomorrow and year 2, 3, 4, 5's problem, because the amount of innovation will be endless. And so you want to make sure that your foundation can adapt to that, as opposed to having to change every few years.
What are the newest and most recognized technology solutions that are available after this acquisition that restaurants can benefit from?
Marlon, you want to grab that?
Yeah, of course. So what we're doing right now is that the menu stack that we already have, we're starting to offer that in the US market, and together with PAR, working on integrating it to all the existing PAR products, and really working to integrate that with PAR customers. But really, what is interesting is everything that's going to come on top of that, as Savneet was saying. So we do already have very, very robust digital ordering solutions. We can provide a really great user experience across channel for restaurant brands very quickly. But now it's really taking the next step on top of that, and realizing some of the unified commerce use cases that we were talking about before, to create really a very unique product that leveraging data that hasn't been available and possible before in the industry. I think one of the funny things to also go back to the questions from before is that PAR and Menu actually always had the same vision when it comes to unified commerce. It's funny that when I first started talking with Savneet, is like, we really didn't spend any time trying to convince each other of like, this is where the restaurant industry was going to come, where it was going to go, and like this was a problem that restaurant operators were facing today. And so this what really also makes this combination unique, is that we were both going in the same direction already. And now by coming together, we're able to continue going down that same path, but we're able to do so much faster, right? Menu would have otherwise had to build a lot of the solutions that PAR already has today, and PAR would have had to go and build many of the solutions that Menu already has today. And so we're seeing that restaurants need a solution right now, and this is really what inspired us to come together. Let's not wait a couple of years to make this happen, but let's make this happen in a couple of months, and let's deliver a solution that helps restaurants address some of the challenges that they're having today.
Savneet, any final words?
I think that in the end, technology needs to be an enabler and service to its customer. And, we can all, Marlon and myself included, get lost in sort of talking about how technology is going to change the world. But in the end, food is still people business. And I think at PAR, one of the things that we really care about is that our customers are happy. And so the way I love to sell is, hey, I think we've got the best technology in the world. I think we've got the best people in the world. But in the end, we understand that it's making sure your franchisee, your customer, the people that touch your brand and your food that really matter, and making sure we don't lose sight of that in this sort of front of intense technology. We want to make sure that we never lose sight of that. And so we do our best to make sure that's still the most important thing.
Excellent. To learn more about the PAR Tech suite of solutions, or to schedule a demo of any of the PAR family of products, please visit www.partech.com. That's www.partech.com. Thanks for being with us today, Savneet. Marlon, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
That'll do it, and we'll catch you in the next podcast. Thanks so much.